What I'm going to cook this morning is roast shoulder of lamb with herbs. Very simple, but the key of cooking shoulder of lamb is on the bone, because once you take the bone out and roll it, it's never the same. So if you can get a joint with the bone in, much better. So, as always, we make a paste. It's just 1 cube for 1 shoulder. A little bit of oil. There's no rush with the shoulder of lamb. What we want to do is just roast it slowly. It's always served well done, and we just want the fat to melt. So it's very succulent when it's finally cooked. Right, so what we do is now, just massage that in. This was bought just down the supermarket. It's a good piece of meat, nice coating of fat, and that's always very important when you're roasting a joint. You want some fat. So what we're going to do is some olive oil in the bottom of the roasting tray. I always cook it skin side down. Put some tomatoes on, onion or a shallot. Just put them in. It's quite rustic. And the garlic's delicious after, a couple of hours in the oven. Take some herbs, some thyme, some sage, and some rosemary. They all work well with lamb. A little splash of oil. And I put that in the oven for about 2.5, 3 hours on about 170. We've got the lamb which has been in the oven for 3 hours. Right, so what we want to do is keep all these little bits which we put on, which we'll use as garnish later on. So we've got these little roast garlics, which are delicious to spread on bread. Roast shallots. What's happened is by roasting it with your onion and your garlic, it releases water, which stops the sediment from burning, and then it caramelizes itself and just contributes to the flavour. Now the leg of lamb, if we put that on the platter, keep the oil. So that's the lamb fat and the olive oil which we started with. Put some water in there to dissolve those juices. And a lamb cube. So we put the lamb cube in there with the water, dissolve those natural sediments which came through the roasting and through the vegetables. Put them in the pan, reduce that down, and then we'll add some fresh herbs to it just to freshen it, and then we'll cut it with the olive oil and the rendered lamb fat. Just assist in dissolving the caramelised sediment. And gravy doesn't have to be jet black or brown like a lot of these instant gravies you buy. They're so dark. I like pan juices, I like roasting juices. I don't want a thick heavy sauce with my lamb. Slowly dissolve it. Now we've dissolved everything, just take it down. So while we're waiting for that to reduce, we might as well dress our lamb. I think by serving food on a platter in the centre of the table, it gives that sense of occasion, and that's what's important. I think to sit down with your family or friends and eat it should have a sense of occasion because it's a special time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some herbs, because we're going to infuse the juices with fresh herbs. So we've got some thyme, some parsley, tiny bit of rosemary. So all these herbs go well with lamb. What I'm doing is just cooking out the sauce now. I've just put a generous amount of water in and just now reduce it down to the flavour that I require. I think by tasting constantly, you start to understand what's happening, and that's very important. As you can see, we've reduced it down now. It's almost there. And as I say, what we're serving is roasting juices, more than a gravy. And if we're honest, we don't want a big, fat, heavy sauce. We just want some juices. It's like if you have a steak, if you cook a steak perfectly, you don't need a sauce. You just don't. What you want is a few meat juices. That's all. So that's almost there now. And then what we'll do is take some herbs. And then put some of the and just to finish it off, roast shoulder of lamb with herbs. Very simple. There's plenty enough juice there for 6 people.